Change brings discomfort along with it. Not the kind that has clear before and after photos, but the quieter kind, where nothing has fully collapsed, but nothing fits properly anymore either. You're still functioning, still answering messages, still doing whatever you're supposed to do, but internally, something has already moved, and the rest of life hasn't caught up yet. People usually try to solve this quickly. They look for clarity, for structure, for a plan, but transitions don't usually offer that on demand. They offer a kind of in-between space instead. And that space is where most reading quietly becomes something else. Not entertainment or productivity, something closer to orientation. Entertainment takes you away from where you are. Orientation helps you notice where you're standing. Bibliotherapy becomes relevant here in a very practical way, not as a concept but as a behavior. You start reaching for certain kinds of book without fully knowing why. Slower books, familiar books, books that don't demand too much from you emotionally, or sometimes the opposite. Books about people who are also in transition. Not because they solve anything, but because they mirror the structure of your current experience. Transitions have a particular psychological feature. They remove certainty without immediately replacing it with anything else. That creates the kind of cognitive friction. You can feel it in decision making. Small choices start to feel unusually heavy. Not because they are important, but because the internal reference point you usually use to make decisions feels slightly unreliable. This is where reading does something interesting. It doesn't restore certainty, but it restores continuity. You watch characters move through change without needing to fully resolve into a fixed identity every 5 pages. You watch life remain legible even while it shifts, and for a while that is enough. There's a tendency in self-help culture to treat transitions as problems to be optimized, as if there is a correct way to move through change, a correct emotional sequence, a correct outcome, but literature has never really agreed with that idea. In novels, transitions are often messy, delayed, uneven. People leave things without closure. They arrive somewhere new without understanding how they got there. They misunderstand themselves for long stretches of time, and somehow, life continues anyway. That continuity, not the resolution, but the continuity is what matters. Because most real transitions don't resolve cleanly. They just gradually become something you can live inside without constant friction. One of the things bibliotherapy does, especially in these phases, is reduce the urgency to define what is happening. It interrupts the instinct to name everything too quickly, to turn uncertainty into a label just so it becomes easier to handle. There is a cost to that. Sometimes naming something too early flattens it. It makes a temporary state feel permanent simply because it is easier to think about that way. Reading slows that process down. It keeps experience in motion long enough for it to be understood more accurately. There's also something slightly underrated here. When life is changing, attention becomes fragmented. It becomes harder to stay with one thread of thought for very long. Reading trains a kind of gentle continuity, not discipline in the productive sense, just the ability to stay with something long enough for meaning to form. Even if nothing is immediately resolved, that matters more than it sounds like it should, because most people don't actually need immediate answers during transitions. They need enough internal stability to not rush into the wrong ones. Books don't provide direction in these moments, but they do something quieter. They make change feel less like a failure of stability and more like a normal part of how lives unfold, which is usually closer to the truth. If life feels slightly unfamiliar right now, I don't think the goal is to fix that quickly. I think the goal is to stay readable to yourself while it shifts. And writing helps with that. Not by explaining who you're becoming, but by letting you stay present long enough to notice it happening. Sometimes a blank page is enough. Try it out today.